Hey friends, so today I'm going to be talking about developers changing their career to become business analyst. You might have never heard this or you would have heard it before, but the development career or the career of a software engineer, be it in any programming language, coding language, whatever you call it, is not very easy. And some people have the skill, very specific, qualified skills for programming and for coding. Their skills are very sharp and they're really good at it. But not all the software engineers are very good at it, and many of them don't even like it. And many of them are stuck in software development career because they don't have other option. For them to get a job, for them to get paid, they need it. They need to keep doing the software development job. So now there is a career change that you can do very easily if you are a developer or a programmer or a coder, whatever you may call it. Basically, if you have knowledge about any programming language, and if you have some knowledge about applications and about the software environment and about the development, integrated development environment, and everything that is going on in a corporate environment, then if you have exposure, at least 1 or 2 or 3 years, that's enough. Once you have that exposure, you can very easily become a business analyst. And there are a lot of advantages to becoming a business analyst. And also there are some disadvantages to becoming a business analyst. You might know because a developer, if he or she is very good with their skills, they will get paid more than a business analyst. But as you progress in your career and as you grow older and you become 10 to 15 years experienced, now you have family, you have kids, you need to take care of your kids, you have other commitments. You cannot focus on your job as much as how you used to do at the beginning of your career. So it becomes very hard for you to manage your professional and personal life. So it is a good option for people who are looking for a shift in their career. It can be to the management side or it can be to the business analyst side. So let me just bring up the slide I have, and then we can quickly go through the advantages and then what a developer or can do to make the shift. And even when they're doing their development career, what they need to focus on, so that in future, if they're planning to change into business analyst, what he or she has to do now, so that 6 months or 1 year from now, they can make the shift. So just give me 1 second here. Let me share. Let me share the screen. Okay. So business analyst. Okay. So from coding to business analyst. So the big question is, why should a developer or a coder become a business analyst? So let's talk about the first point. That is, for a developer who is more than 10 to 15 years experienced, they are not an asset to their employer anymore, because a fresh graduate who is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years experienced and they're very dedicated, they're learning the new programming languages, they're familiar with the new environment, they are very enthusiastic, they want to keep working late at night to get a salary increase. So it's very hard for a person who is 10 to 15 years experienced to compete with fresh developers who are coming from just fresh graduates who just have like 2, 3, 4 years experience. It's hard. And then especially for the employer, this 10 to 15-year-old experienced developer kind of becomes a liability because they need to be paid better benefits. They have to be paid higher salary. They ask for a job on site. If they're in India, they want to come to the US. And so all those problems are coming. Now, the second one is for a developer, few of them can become architect or anything like that, but mostly their career growth is stalled. They have two choices, either to become an architect or they can change to another programming language, learn another language, spend a lot of time, see what is hot in the market, go learn that. So in a way, their career growth is stalled. So business analyst is a better alternative at this stage. Third, so let's say you have your job, you have a resume, and let's say you're looking for a job. And now if you're putting 15-year-old experienced developer, they are not going to look at your resume because they think like, why is he or she doing the same thing for such a long time? The employer thinks that way, and then the recruiter thinks that the employee might be asking for very high salary, even if it's per hour or if it's per annum, they'll be asking for high salary, so they reject these resumes even without calling the employee. So they have to edit, the employee has to edit the resume, even if they're like 10, 15, 20 years experience, they need to show, they only can show 10 or 12 years experience because that's when their resume will be picked up. So more experience as a developer doing coding becomes a liability in turn. Now, if you are working as a contractor, not as a permanent employee, if you're working as a developer, as a contractor, now as not a full-time employee, then every project will complete in 6 months or 1 year or maximum 2 years. Now again, you have to come to the market and keep looking for new jobs and update your skills, learn new language, new skills, to go through that cycle every 1 year or 2 years if you're working as a contractor. Not everybody is lucky to get full-time employment, and some developers think that if they're a full-time employee, they get less salary compared to a contractor. So every 1 year they keep looking for new jobs. While they look for new jobs, they need to keep learning the new programming languages, new environment. They need to learn a lot of new things before they can actually land the job. And that's not very good. And then, I mean, like for some people, they're very passionate about learning new language. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about people who are kind of bored and they just don't have other options in their career. I'm talking about people who are kind of stuck with the development and the learning curve they go through, and they want to really make a change in their career. I'm talking about those people. Okay, don't get me wrong. Now, changing from a developer to become a business analyst or to the management profession, like as a manager, right, makes life easier in a way. I'm telling you from my personal experience. So, and I can really stress on this. Your life becomes easy. You have more time for yourself and you have more time for your family. So yeah, this is a really good point. Now, okay, the same point as the one before, more time with family and friends and rather than in front of the computer learning new code. Okay, and then the next one is avoid the need to switch from one programming language to the other, because like let's say someone is let's say someone is a C++ programmer. Now they're shifting to another new language. They're learning another coding language. They're learning another programming language. They're learning another one, next one, A to B to C to D. Keep learning and never-ending cycles. So that can be avoided if you change to become a business analyst, or if you shift towards the management, then you can avoid that. Now, for some people who were previously working in the legacy systems, like in COBOL or in like JCL is like job control language. These are all mainly like dealing with legacy and mainframe systems. There's a language called assembler language. So people who have been working in this legacy system and experienced with the languages which are in the 1960s and 70s and 80s, or even before that, for those people, they're already familiar with the applications, they know about the business, they know how, like for example, if you are taking about banking, they know how the banking software works because they know the business logic, because they have been doing some programming, they've been doing some coding, so they know about the business logic, they are familiar with the environment. Only thing they lack is they don't know the new programming languages, they don't have the new coding skills. For these people, it's very easy to shift to become a business analyst, because let's say if they were doing this programming in insurance sector, they would have done coding for different screens. They know what are the tables, they know the fields in the table, they know how the tables are related, they know the business logic. So it's just a matter of making a shift from their coding to business analyst. And they don't need very high training. They need very minute specific training for them to become a business analyst. Now, the next one is for people who are working in natural database. A database is also a like very old database, and the language for that is natural. So, like in the 80s and 90s, a lot of people were working on this. Now, um for them also, like I mentioned, they have exposure to tables, they have exposure to the underlying data, they're good at it. Now they want to change their career, but they don't know Java, they don't know like all the new programming languages. So now they can shift their career to become a business analyst. Now other developers like C, C++, embedded C++, C Sharp, all these people who have been very, like, initially when you're looking at the job portal, you could see a lot of jobs being posted for these skills. But of late, if you're looking at any of the job portals, you seldom see any of these requirements being asked for. But all these people are people who have been coding different applications, different business logics, different databases, different table structures, different relationships. They are familiar with everything except that they are not familiar with the new programming languages. That's why they are stuck in their career, and they have an option to go forward. And then the next one for people who are working in the software operations support. So I'm not sure if you know about operations. So who are working in the operations, like they are people who are running commands, running like install, load, upgrade, those commands. So they know. So the people who are working in operations are like, I'm just going to take an example. Like let's take the example of Pfizer. Pfizer has 10 different applications, and they don't want their employees sitting and monitoring all these applications at night and making sure that everything is running. So they give this work to another third-party software company, like for example, like TCS or Infosys, Wipro, those companies. They have operations people who are online 24/7. What they're checking is that they're employed in the operations. So they're checking to see if the applications are running, if all the screens are up, if any of the screens are down, if the users are able to log in. They keep checking about this, and they also have instructions on how to bring up the application in case the application is down, how to bring it up, how to relaunch it, or if they want to run a patch, how to run the patch. So the operations people are aware of all those things, but they are not directly working with the software. They're not familiar with the programming language or any software coding language. So for the people who are working in operations, let's say working there for 10 years or 15 years, now they have a very good feel of some of these applications. They know what are the screens, they know what is the navigation. They sometimes even know the underlying tables, because the instruction manual will mention about what are the tables and what needs to be updated in a table if something happens and all that. And they would also be familiar with some of the structured query SQL. So people in operations, once they work there for 10 years or more, they could easily become a business analyst and make a good shift in their career. Now, the people who are working in next one is people who are working in production support, level 1, level 2, level 3. So as you know, in production support, there are different levels. Level 1 is the most primary one, where they create the tickets, They assign the priority to the tickets. They assign it to different departments. So level one production support is almost like operations. So level two are the people who are more like a technical people. It might be a developer in the remote location. They know how to fix it. So the level one production support, they create the ticket, they assign it to the right department. Level two, they can fix it. They are familiar with the code. They develop. They might be the people who did some changes. And level three is the actual developers and people who actually made the application. So all these people all these people, provided they are familiar with the software and their applications and with the different screens and navigations and manuals and instructions, such things, they can, I mean, basically, if they're familiar with the software, if they're familiar with the database, if they're familiar with few applications, if they have, then for those people, they can make a shift in their career to become a business analyst if they want to. Because the risk with this category, like this production support and the operations, the risk with these ones is like nowadays all these are being automated. They are creating scripts to monitor the jobs. They are creating scripts to create tickets if there is a failure. So many of these jobs are disappearing. Automation is taking over these jobs. So these people are also becoming unemployed in a way. So they could make a change in their career to become a business analyst because they already have exposure to different softwares and navigations and manuals and all that. They're already familiar with the development environment in a way. They talk to developers, so that's an edge for them. They can make a shift in their career to become a business analyst. Now, I hope that many of you might be convinced that it's better to get some training or some skill upgrade as a business analyst. The reason is because nowadays the job market is changing like anything, and there are new language, new development, new softwares coming up every other day, and it's very hard to catch up. So, for a coder or a developer, what is the next step he or she has to become to be a business analyst? The first and foremost, like let's say they're working in a company, they're just 1 year or 2 years experienced as a developer. Now they're thinking about changing to become a business analyst. They need to work on their communication skills because once you become a business analyst, you'll be talking with important stakeholders. You'll be talking to senior directors, VPs. You'll be talking to a lot of people who are higher up in the ladder of the corporate structure. And in that case, your communication skills are very, very important. So while you're working in the development environment as a developer, you can keep focusing on your communication skills so that in an year or two from now, you can become a business analyst if you wish. Second one is like I have seen in my own personal experience, even though a developer is good with their language, their development environment and their language, many of them don't have very good skills in Excel. They know the primary things, but they don't have very good skills in Excel. But whereas a business analyst needs to have very good skills, different for how to use different formulas, how to use macros, how to do calculations, how to play around with data, how to play around in Excel. That is very important skill. So you can keep learning this. And obviously, for all the developers, structured query language or SQL is like it's they should be familiar with that. They already know the language. They already know SQL and they already know the tables and the relationships and everything. Now, I mentioned this SQL or structured query language here because for people who are working in production support level 1, level 2, or people who are working in operations, they may not be good at SQL. So they have to learn this very well. They have to keep learning. This one, this is important for those people. Okay, this is called structured query language. And third one, and the fourth one is domain expertise. So let's say if you're working in a bank, then you need to be getting and your job is restricted to only few screens, or you only need to do like very limited things, but it is on you to learn more about the banking domain. Like you need to learn about different products they are selling, about the different lending products. If you're working in the bank, you need to learn about mortgages. You need to learn about mortgage insurance. You need to learn about other things like personal line of credit, how the credit is working, how the screens are working, what are the different accounts that in the bank. So don't limit yourself just to your screen and your knowledge. You need to get expertise on your domain. So it can be banking domain, someone who is working in the insurance, they need to know more about the insurance. Depending on if they're in life insurance, they need to know about insurance, annuity, term life, all those details they need to know. They need to explore about it, keep learning more about their domain. Someone is working in healthcare, they need to learn more about their healthcare domain, so that when you are shifting towards a business analyst, because business analyst is always very domain specific. So if you are good, let's say for an accountant who has done a lot of accounting, and they already know a software, accounting software. So they already have the domain expertise. They already have the data knowledge, and all they need to focus on is maybe their communication skills and in structured query language. So those are the important points that I want to mention. The next video I'll be making about how a QA or a quality analyst can become a business analyst. So if after listening to this video, if you're interested in learning more about to become a business analyst, or if you're really interested, then actually I have one of my friends who is very good at training. He has been training for at least for like 6 or 7 years now. He has trained more than, I think, at least around 6,000 people. So I can refer, if you contact me, I can refer him to you. I can refer you to him, and then you can have a discussion. I'm no way related. I can just give the reference, and then you can talk to him, and then you can decide if you want to go ahead and get the training. So I'll see you soon. I'll talk to you in another video. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. Have a good day. Bye now.